Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get going because we do have a program for you. As as per tradition, just to let you know, I know you're already eating and things of that nature. We do not have a set prayer or anything of that nature. And it's not a discrimination thing. It's just because we've been asked not to. But I also want to listen, if you wish to say your own prayer over the meal, or to bless the food, or to bless the speakers, or to tell David Wilson to shut up, that can work out too. If you want to do that, just feel free to do that. We'll give a little moment of silence for that, and then we're going to get going with the Pledge of Allegiance. But we just want to let everybody get going and enjoy what's going on. Talk with your friends, or as I said, your neighbors, or your enemies, as everybody knows, your frenemies. I don't know what I said about this table. Suddenly there's nobody there. I'm going to sit over there and eat all the food myself. It's all mine. Two there.
See another scene. Change seats for being here. Good Christian. Can't wait. That'll be great.
Okay, we're going to get started with our program. For those of you that can stand, if you would, for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can't, that's fine. I would make it comes out really weird when I say I don't stand on tradition, but if you can, it'd be greatly appreciated. The flag is over here. One thing that I have to always remind people, it is one nation under God, all one phrase. There's not a comma in there. And then just a quick question. When did that become part of the Pledge of Allegiance? Just give me the year. Now, okay, if you'll join with me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. If my father was here, he would say, play ball. That's right. That's what you have to say. Okay, we're going to get going with our program and things of that nature. Feel free, again, to just enjoy each other's company, visit and friendship, and like to say friendship and fellowship. I'm going to give a few minutes right now to, is it going to be Carla or Joan? Who's going to be the one that's going to be the voice? Oh, it's a two-timer. The two of them are going to get us. So Joan, you're on, and then Carla's going to correct everything you say.
I am absolutely delighted that Elder Quest has started again, and our season is here, and we're all together, and we're going to be able to see each other and renew our friendships and have just a great time. Carla and I have been working as hard as we possibly could to get your season put together. We don't have it all, but we have part of it, and the part of it we have, we want to talk to you about. On July 11th to 13th, we're going to be going up to Logan. Now, we haven't done Logan for a couple of years, but I looked at the season this year and I went, oh, holy cow. Okay, this is the best season I have seen Logan put together in probably maybe 12 years. They picked 4 great musicals, not good musicals, great musicals. And when you pick that kind of a season, I'm bound to take you there. First is Cole Porter's Anything Goes. Nobody can beat Cole Porter as a musician and as a lyricist. I listen to the radio and I see things like, I hear things like, shut up and drive, shut up and drive, shut up and drive. And that's lyrics 20 times. Cole Porter said, in olden days, the glimpse of stalking was looked on as something shocking, but now anything goes. Okay? Sort of sounds like now, but he was writing in the 20s. So anyway, he was a great lyricist, and his music is incredible. Anything Goes is one of the best musicals he wrote. So you're going to be seeing that. Then we have Shop of Horrors. Shop of Horrors is a comedy that is dark. So you've got all this wonderful, wonderful comedy with the dentist you will absolutely be amazed by, since he practically kills every one of his patients. But you will love Shop of Horrors. And then at the end, you'll go, oh my gosh, I was laughing. You know, it's that kind of a musical, but it's a great musical. Then we have Guys and Dolls. And Guys and Dolls, people, is a cartoon. That's all it is. Everybody on that stage is a cartoon character. If you like Little Abner, if you like those kinds of cartoons, you're going to love Guys and Dolls, because they're gangsters and they're dolls, they're girlfriends. And so you will love this show. I love this show. I've directed it, I've choreographed it. I've also directed Anything Goes and choreographed it. But Guys and Dolls is one of my all-time favorites. And then, what is our last one? There is another one, I know. Cats. Okay. When Cats was coming to Broadway, all the actors and actresses were studying to be cats. They were looking at but it is also wonderful. I saw it on Broadway, and I don't think it's ever been performed in Utah. So I want you to get excited. Next month, they said the end of October, they would have the schedule out for sure. But as soon as they announce, you know, hopefully I can get a calendar a little bit early. I know the guy that does that. And we'll get that for you. So just kind of plan. We're going to do that in August. We won't do it during BYU Education Week, I promise. We've already looked to see when that is. So we're thinking we're going to do it the last week of August, so it's a little bit cooler than it would be the first week of August. So just plan on that, and we're going to be staying in one hotel, and we'll be going back between Cedar City and St. George, and we will have an incredible time. It's another one that we see lots of shows. We have just so much fun together. We do shopping. We're on the street there, you know, wandering and getting lunch, and it's fun. So we plan on doing that. And then in November, we're going to go back to Branson again. We try to do that about every other year because there's so much to see there. And a lot of the people that go say, please go again. Please go again. Are you going this year? And we'll say, no, not for another year. But we're going to go to Branson. We're going to do that one November 11th to the 15th. It's a Monday to a Friday. And we will hopefully, well, next month, I know I will have the pricing on this one. Not this November, a year from this November, so 2024. So you can choose between 5 and 7 shows. We've got 5 shows that we'll do, and then those that go to Silver Dollar City, which is an amusement park, an Ozark music park, which is so much fun. But if you don't want to do that because it's a lot of hills, because you're in the Ozarks. And so you know, those that don't want to do that, they see 2 additional shows at Branson. So one of the things we are really excited about that we haven't done before, I have to find the actual name. We're going to be doing Big Cedar Lodge. So I don't know if any of you have done that, but you'll be in golf carts for 2.5 miles. You'll be going through nature, through caves, waterfalls, all kinds of stuff. So that's going to be a really fun adventure that we're going to do in Branson. So things to look forward to. Just read this. We will have things go up onto our website. Hopefully, the only thing we're waiting for, I've got the flyer done except for the price, because we're waiting on the bid to come back from the motor company. So just kind of know this is what we're doing and get excited and plan on it and join us. Thank you.
The traveling events that we've got scheduled for the Elder Quest for next year, you know, she mentioned November, those will be in our fall 2024 newsletter also. This is a nice teaser for you to get scheduled and get set up for these things.
Hi, we're Judith Turney and
Leonard Turney.
And we are the Turneys, and we are going to teach a class this semester, continuing the From Page to Stage with Stephen Sondheim. And we meet on Mondays at 10 o'clock at the rec center from 10 to 11:30, starting on September 11th. So we hope to see you there. Let us give you a little rundown of the class. We're very excited over the fact that Sondheim is, let me just read you a quote. It's just a short quote. Stephen Joshua Sondheim was an American composer and lyricist, regarded as one of the most important figures in 20th century musical theater. He is credited for reinventing the American musical. So that really intrigued us. How was he going to be reinventing the American musical? So when we investigated all of his work and that sort of thing, we found that he really, really has done that. And we'd like to share that finding with you. Leonard.
Yes, we would. Actually, I am relatively new to Stephen Sondheim. Practicing or studying with Judith, preparing for this has been really a thrilling experience. I think that some of you probably who know his work probably fell in love with it at first sight or first hearing. For others of you, it's an acquired taste. And then perhaps for others of you, you're under the impression that you don't like it. We're going to try to make converts here of that third category. But we are thrilled and excited about the prospect of watching these with you, and not only watching them, but also we have in store for you dozens of interviews with Sondheim. He's a wonderful interviewee, was very articulate, very interesting. You don't have to be have majored in music in graduate school in order to follow his descriptions of how he worked, both as a composer and also as a lyricist.
We're going to be narrowing it down to 6 musicals because we just don't have time to cover everything that he's written. So you're going to be watching and discussing Into the Woods, A Little Night Music, Sweeney Todd, yes, Sweeney Todd, and Sunday in the Park with George, and then a special session, Merrily We Roll Along. And I think last semester, some of you enjoyed the interviews that we had with Scott Eckern, who came down from Salt Lake, and we're bringing him back. He is a not a master teacher, he's a master director, and has directed probably a total of 8 or 9 Stephen Sondheim musicals in a professional setting. So we'd like to kind of pick his brain and talk to him about a little bit about what his reactions to this wonderful, marvelous man who we found to be quite a companion over the summertime. His themes are unexpected. I know that some of you might hesitate about Sweeney Todd being the rather vicious demon barber of Fleet Street, but just bear with it and understand that his themes are unexpected. His themes are also about human relationships and about sophisticated and rather ambivalent human relationships. So we're excited, and we would invite you to come and visit and watch some of the selections from these shows and join with us in discussing also some of your experiences in seeing a Sondheim musical. It's a real treat for all of us, I think. Don't you think?
I think it'll be a real treat. And I think that with regard to Sweeney Todd, I think we could quote Hitchcock, who said, it's only a musical, or maybe he said it was only a movie.
It's only a movie.
Only a musical.
This is a man who's won Tony Awards, who's won a Pulitzer Prize, who's won scads of awards of recognition of his talent. So I think you'll be impressed.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Monday,
Goodbye.
the September 11th.
My name is Bruce Young, and I'll be teaching a class on great poems of the English language. We'll be meeting Mondays at 1 p.m. starting on September 11th. First of all, I want to explain why I've chosen this topic. I've loved poetry through most of my life and love the way that it can enrich our lives. And I'm excited to share that love with my Elder Quest friends. In this class, we'll be talking about some of the greatest poems in the English language, including poems by Shakespeare, Spenser, Donne, Herbert, Milton, Blake, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats, Robert and Elizabeth Browning, Gerard Manley Hopkins, William Butler Yeats, T.S. Eliot, and others. I hope you've heard of many of those poets, and in any case, they're all worth getting to know. We'll also talk about some American poets, including Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman. We'll even look at a poem or two by the fine Welsh poet Leslie Norris, who taught at BYU for many years. Anyway, what that means is that we'll be looking at poetry from the 1500s to the 2000s. Of course, even in the space of 10 weeks, we'll only be skimming the surface of the vast quantity of wonderful poetry written in English. But I'll try to make sure that we look at some of the best and most interesting poems. We'll focus mostly on short poems so that we'll be able to look at them in detail in class. And by the way, I'll be sending copies by email ahead of time and also on handouts in class, so you'll be able to look at the poems. I'll also refer you to additional poems and poets that you can explore more on your own. Along the way, we'll discuss poetic forms and styles, for instance, sonnets, odes, and other poetic forms. And we'll look at what makes poetry work as memorably and powerfully as it often does. In addition to all of this, I'll provide some background information, including a brief survey of the history of English and American poetry, along with some biographical information about the writers. I hope you'll gain two especially important things from this class. First, the pleasure of experiencing the intense power and beauty of poetic language with its rich combination of sound, structure, symbolism, and imagery. And second, the wisdom that great writers offer about life with its ups and downs, joys and sorrows, and so on. I think you'll find that that wisdom is conveyed in poetry in a way that penetrates our hearts. And that means that poetry can not only enrich our lives, it can actually change them. I look forward to sharing a life-changing experience with all of you as we look at some of the great poems of the English language.
Hi, I'm Dion Root, and I'll be teaching the Family Matters class, Mondays at 2:30. In this class, you'll learn why Ben Carson removed a half of a child's brain, why Tara Westover's book offended her parents, why Antoine Fisher wrote a movie script for Denzel Washington, why the League of Wives was told to just keep quiet, and why Jason Rosenthal received hundreds of letters of proposal. You'll also learn how Jeff Bolson's life was deleted, why the Delaney sisters avoided crowds, what Terry Tempest Williams did that could have landed her in prison, how a small town business became one of the largest of its kind in the world, and how 1 million Bibles were smuggled into China in one night. Class begins Monday, September 11th at 2:30. It will be good to be together again.
Hi, Robert Griffiths here. You know, every day it seems like China is in the news in some way or another. Some of the news paints a picture of China taking over the world, displacing the United States. Other news stories say that China has fallen on hard times and may collapse sometime soon. Wouldn't it be useful to get a clearer understanding of what is really going on? Even to understand China and the Chinese people from their perspective? In the China in the 21st Century course this fall, we will try to do just that. We will look at how China's current president, Xi Jinping, came to power and how his priorities have evolved. We will dive into Chinese culture a bit to appreciate Chinese values, why they value the things that they do, which may be different from what we value. We will take note of the particular domestic challenges that China faces: terrible pollution, a declining workforce, the after effects of the one-child policy, and gauge how well China is dealing with them. We will evaluate the current state of the Chinese economy to gauge whether US companies should continue to invest in and trade with China. We will analyze how China sees itself in the world, what kind of world China would like to see, and how the United States fits into that. You might be surprised at some of the things we discover. It is also important to remember that China is made up of 1.4 billion people. It is not just a single entity. China is much more than the Chinese Communist Party, as important as that is. Indeed, how are China and the United States both enriched by study abroad programs, tourism, and other people-to-people exchanges? China has embraced a quest to regain the preeminent global position it enjoyed for 2,000 years, up until the 19th century. Can we live with that? What do we need to do to assure that American interests and values are maintained? Jeannie and I lived in Greater China for 14 years, and now I teach Chinese studies at BYU. We certainly did not experience all that China has to offer, but I look forward to sharing with you some of what we learned. So tune in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. beginning September 12th to find out whether we all need to learn how to eat with chopsticks.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Griffiths. This is my 7th year teaching here at Elder Quest. This is 7 in Chinese. I teach cultural geography. There are 195 countries in the world. Each year I pick a new country where we study the history, the culture, the geography, and other important aspects about that country. My class will begin Tuesday, September 12th at 11 a.m. This year we will be studying Russia. And you may say, wait a minute, didn't we study Russia last year? Yes, we did. But Russia is such a huge country with a very long history. We didn't get very far. Last year, we only got to World War I, so we have the whole century to cover in this coming semester. Let me tell you about my first introduction to Russia. My husband and I were living in Beijing when we went to pick up our son after he served a mission in Russian-speaking Ukraine. So we have visited the exact same spots that have now been bombed to smithereens by the Russians. Moscow is one of the most expensive cities in the world, and we couldn't afford to pay the $400 a night hotel fee. So we opted to visit Moscow for just one very expensive day. We arrived on a red-eye flight, arriving at Moscow at 4:30 in the morning. Now, since cultural geography is the name of this class, we are of course going to look at Russia's geography. So let's do a quick comparison between the geography of the US and that of Russia. The US is rich with lots of resources, including a surprisingly overabundance of excellent agricultural soil, which has made us the food basket of the world. In the Book of Mormon, when the Nephites were told they were going to the Promised Land, that was indeed true. The American continent is one of the best pieces of real estate in the whole world. Not so true for Russia. Russia is geographically the largest country in the world, but it has been terribly disadvantaged by its horrible geography. Its huge size often creates headaches for the nation. It's the largest country in the world. It's also the coldest country in the world. Most of its land is agriculturally unusable, and unlike our extensive river system, including our incredible Mississippi River, Russia has a shortage of rivers. And to make it worse, most of them are going in the wrong direction. They're flowing north to the Arctic Ocean, which makes them completely economically useless. Russia, despite its 23,000 miles of coastline, doesn't even have one warm water port on the European side of the country where everyone lives. That means it has no direct access to an ocean. So for practical purposes, it's a landlocked nation. Now, here's looking at the map of Russia. And you may ask, what are you talking about? Russia's not landlocked at all. They have oceans on two sides of their country. Yes, they do. But the Arctic Ocean on the north side is always frozen, so it can't be used. And the far eastern side of the nation, over by Japan, look at that nice long coastline on the Pacific Ocean. The problem is, it's 4,000 miles away from the population center of the country. If you look at that second map, it gives a better idea of where Moscow is, 4,000 miles away. Now, let's look at the US map. We have 88,000 miles of coastline, and every part of it is usable. The dark blue shows the coastline on the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Gulf of Mexico, as well as we also have Alaska and Hawaii at the bottom. The light blue are the 7 US states located on the Great Lakes, the largest freshwater lakes in the world. Now, we're not done yet with Russia's terrible geography. Let's talk about one more disadvantage that very much affects its policies today. Despite its huge size, Russia has no natural borders to protect the country. Switzerland has the Alps. The UK has the English Channel that saved them from the Nazis in World War II. The US has 2 large oceans on both sides of the country that protect us. So how does Russia protect itself from its enemies? Which enemies, including NATO? Let's look at the next map. Their only defense has been used historically as well as to the present, and that is to create buffer states. The map on the left shows Imperial Russia and how they added other countries to their empire over the years. The map on the right shows all the European bloc nations that were added after World War II. and under Soviet influence. Besides furthering their sphere of influence, the Soviets could finally feel safe knowing their enemies would have to go through all those buffer states before they could reach Moscow. And who, by chance, is currently the most important buffer state in Russia? Ukraine. Russia could not afford to have an enemy on its doorstep with no protection, so they invaded Ukraine. Don't you learn interesting things in this class? I think you'll agree, well, we will have an exciting semester together, and I hope you can join us when we start classes on Tuesday, September 12th.
My name is Alex Call. I'm very excited to be presenting at ElderQuest this year. A little bit of my background is that I work at a firm here in Orem, Utah, called Peterson Wealth Advisors. We work primarily with retirees, helping them create an income plan for them throughout retirement. And presenting, it'll be myself and then also two of my colleagues, Alec Johnson and Carson Johnson. They're not brothers, but the three of us will be taking turns over this 10-week course presenting. And what the course that we're going to be presenting on is all about really creating a retirement income plan for you. And that starts with things like Social Security. We will talk about investments, the myths and fallacies around investments, and then also talk about what are the true determinants of investment growth. What really determines what grows your money. And then we will discuss a time-segmented approach to creating that income plan for you. Then we'll talk about some tax strategies in retirement, whether it's charitable giving and how to reduce your taxes overall. And then we get into things like health insurance, primarily Medicare. We're going to have a course all about that. And then for those of you who have a desire or would like to serve a mission, a senior mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we have a unique perspective working with hundreds of retirees and senior missionaries on what are the temporal things that you need to do to get ready to serve a mission from a financial planning. And then also, when it comes to paying for your mission, what's the most tax efficient way of doing that? So we'll go ahead and talk about all of this over the next 10 weeks during ElderQuest, and we are so excited and can't wait to see you there. Bye.
Hello, my name's David Farnsworth. I'll be teaching Viking history, or lifting the lid on the Viking Age. My class is on Tuesdays from 2:30 to 3:30, and therefore will start on September 12th. My interest in Viking history began as I studied European history as an undergraduate, and then I lived in Europe for a long time and visited Scandinavia frequently. I was able to see many of the museums that house artifacts and became interested in learning more about the topic myself. I also have a Norwegian heritage, as I suspect many of you will have some Scandinavian heritage. And you may have more than you think. We'll learn about that in the course of the class. I became particularly interested in teaching this course when the TV programs The Last Kingdom and the Vikings became prominent, because I wanted to see how much of their history is accurate, and we'll learn about that as well. So I hope you'll join me in the fascinating world of Viking Age. Lasting from the 8th to 11th century, this era is marked by the exploits of the North seafarers known as the Vikings. Originating from Scandinavia, these adventurers were more than just raiders. They were clever traders, skilled craftsmen, courageous explorers, and eventually settlers. As said, the TVs and movies present longships slicing through the waves, carrying warriors on their quest for riches and glory. This is just a small part of the picture. Vikings left an indelible mark on history, with their influences stretching from their Scandinavian homelands to as far as North America, most of Europe and the United Kingdom, the Mediterranean, and what became Russia and even the East. From the sagas that tell tales of epic heroes and gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki, to their active shipbuilding techniques and intricate metalwork. The Vikings were a society of contrasts, embracing both the ferocious and the refined. In our class on Viking history, we will delve into the world of runestones, religion and mythology, mysterious burial sites, shipbuilding, and the intricacies of their social structure. We'll explore how these Norse people shaped Europe through trade networks and how their voyages transforms cultures and societies. I look forward to having you in my class and meeting with you there. Good day.
Good afternoon, fellow Elder Questers, or should I say EQers. I hope you're as excited as I am and looking forward to our upcoming semester and all the great classes that we have scheduled for you. My name is Alex Ludlow, and I will be teaching the class on case law, and the title has been changed from last semester, which was blind justice, and we're calling this one quotations. This is justice, really? Quotation marks. So I think it offers a lot of exciting cases for us to take a look at. We'll be following the same format that we've followed in past classes. It seems to do well with us. Just to give you an idea about some of the classes that we'll be some of the cases that we'll be taking a look at. At the end of last semester, I passed out a list of different optional cases that we could take a look at, and your input was wonderful. It's interesting that several of them have fallen into the religious cases category, and so we'll be doing some of those. A couple of them that should be of interest. The Carthage trials relating to the prophet Joseph Smith. We will also be taking a look at the trial of Joan of Arc as another one. Around October time frame, we'll be doing the Salem witchcraft trials, which I think will be right in season there. We also have a couple of very interesting classes coming up. Dr. Kevorkian, if anyone remembers him from the 60s and 70s. Some of the other ones, people may not know that Adolf Hitler was put on trial. And that's a very interesting and I think a very timely case. So we'll take a look at that one and do that. Also requested, which is a little bit out of line from what we have normally done. Excuse me. Yeah, there was a request that we have a class on wills and trusts, and so I'm going to include that. I think that's also very timely for all of us. And then finally, as I was doing some research this past summer, I came across some interesting cases. I'm not going to tell you what they're about, but I want you to know that they're very intriguing. As a hint, one of the cases involves a pig. So look forward to, I think will be an interesting and a very intriguing cross-section of cases that we look forward to discussing and letting you decide what the outcome should be. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Brad Daw. I'm a former state legislator and current lobbyist, and according to my wife, a political gadfly. I very much enjoy discussing and exploring national and world events, and also what's happening here in our own state of Utah. And I'd like the opportunity to share all of that with you and hear your insights. That is a topic of the class that I am teaching for Elder Quest, called The World and I. In this class, we will discuss current events, both on the world stage, on the national stage, and right here in Utah and in our own cities of Orem and Provo. This is going to be an exciting class because right now we're ramping up to a presidential election, which appears to be really interesting, and there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. There's a lot going on in the world. Just recently, you may have heard events happening in Ukraine and in Maui, and those are the kind of things that we're going to talk about and learn from each other. I hope each and every one of you will have an opportunity to attend this class. It starts September 14th, and it's every Thursday at 10 a.m. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Neil Lambert. I'll be teaching this semester in Elder Quest a course on G.K. Chesterton and the story of the family. Chesterton was one of the most prolific and best-known English writers of the first part of the 20th century, but so many of his writings were in newspaper and other articles that when he died, the interest in him began to wane, and he sort of fell off the radar so far as literary studies and so forth were concerned. But recently he has undergone a real revival because he speaks so clearly to the matters of our time. He was a huge man and put out a huge amount of material. He was 6'4", over 300 pounds. He loved his wife and children, but they were never able to have any, and so their family was just the two of them. But he was, in many people's eyes, prophetic of the times ahead of us and what's happening in our world right now. And that's why I wanted to turn to Chesterton and his writings for this semester. The book we'll be looking at is a collection of his essays called The Story of the Family. For Chesterton, the family, mother, father, and children, were the keystone, the cornerstone, really the basis for all successful civilized societies. And so he wrote about that often, and recently some of those writings have been collected into the book that we'll be using this semester in class, so that you can get some idea as to the minefields that he's not afraid of. Some of those chapters that we will be looking at talk about love, marriage, divorce, babies, birth control, euphemism, euthanism, and the role of parents, and what about home and the work. The role of the home in the successful society was what he really was most concerned of, and what he wrote about. He was, as I said, very prolific. He wrote hundreds of books on literary criticism, novels, fictions. He was the original creator for the figure we see on TV of Father Brown, and loved to write detective stories. He wrote over 200 books in his lifetime, and literally thousands of essays for the newspapers. So I think it will be an interesting semester as we touch some of these hot button let him talk to us about some of these hot button objects. And It will be a very exciting time I think, as we consider those issues together. Again, the title of the book is The Story of the Family, and we will be looking at the family and the issues that challenge the family throughout this semester. We look forward to being with you.
Hello again. It's nice to see you, even if it is virtual. I'm happy to announce that we are going to be having a Shakespeare class again this year, and hopefully you will have some fun with it. It will be in the same time slot as last year on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. That's at the Provo Rec Center. If you would like to get started early, you're certainly welcome to do that. And we'll go ahead and head right into it. The purpose of the class actually is to give you a heads up if you're going to be going to the Utah Shakespeare Festival in Cedar City. And what we do is read the Shakespeare plays that are going to be performed in the following summer. So we are looking at the season for 2024, and the season for that year will include the following 4 Shakespeare plays, which is kind of fun that they're doing 4. There's Henry VIII, Much Ado About Nothing, The Winter's Tale, and The Taming of the Shrew. 2 of them are plays that are not done too frequently. The other 2 are done very frequently. One is a history play, one is a romance, and 2 are comedies. So that's kind of a good mix, and I think we can have some fun with them. A reminder that the way we work the class is we do it in a reader's theater format, which means that you have your script and you follow along and you are a volunteer to read. And we don't worry about memorizing the stuff. You don't have to prepare ahead of time unless you want to. Some of us like to have a printed script in front of us. And if you are one of those, there are several ways to do that. One is to obtain a complete works of Shakespeare, which has everything in it. Another is to check a copy out from the library, or to buy a copy of a single script at a bookstore like Barnes & Noble. They're not expensive. They're all in public domain. So that's one way if you like having a library. They're also available on audiobooks through the library. And if you are into electronic gadgets, if you have a Kindle or some other kind of tablet, you can probably get the works of Shakespeare on that. And for those of us who don't like to do any of those things, Gerhard has a backup for us. He usually is able to download copies of the script and project them onto the screen in the classroom. So I look forward to seeing you. That's on Thursday afternoon at 2:30, and we will start class on the 14th of September. That's the day after our luncheon. So if you need a reminder, it will be on the ElderQuest website, and it is printed already in the newsletter as soon as that gets finished and is mailed out to you. So keep tuned in, enjoy the Bard, realize that he's come up with a lot of things that we still use. Some people have said that if they were on a deserted island, that the 2 books they would want to have with them are the Bible and the complete works of Shakespeare. Some people seem to say that we could re-establish civilization with just those 2 books. So enjoy the rest of your summer, your vacation, and relax, and we will have fun as we meet together for Shakespeare. Thank you.